and see what the Lord is.
Hey guys, welcome to today's subject with Lady A. Ward with the Word. We have made it through another week. God bless you. Thank you for coming on and listening with me today. Just for a few minutes, I want to give you just a quick word, something that is going to help you to get to the next week that you are going to face ahead. Hi guys, my name is Lady A. Ward, and today we're going to be talking about this is not a competition. This is not a competition. I am not in competition with you. You should not be in competition with me. There are many times when a competition is in place for us to do certain things. Perhaps you have went to a different types of sports where they are competing with each other. You know, that can be a competition. Perhaps you have been in different talent shows. I know that I have been in a few talent shows where I had to compete with other singers, various people who had different talent, and I had to compete with them. You know, those are some things that we have faced at some point in our lives, that we had to compete with someone. There are many of our children that are competing in, whether it's sports, whether it's like a spelling bee, math contest, anything pertaining to that. Those are some things that we know about competing. One of the shows that I used to love to watch was called American Idol. Do you guys remember when that actually came out? It was a competition of competing with talented singers, huh? One of our very own very talented singer who actually won the competition, which has been quite some time now, was Miss Fantasia. She was very anointed and still is, and she won that competition. When you go through a competition, there are different levels. There are different things that the people that are watching you, that they want to see. They want to see how you present yourself. They want to see how you carry yourself. They want to see how you bring the audience to you, how the audience reacts to you, huh? So those are some things that people have to go through when they are competing with one another. Excuse me. That's fine for that type of competition. But today, guess what? I want to talk about something just a little different. I am not in competition with you, and you should not be in competition with me. When I was growing up, I remember sitting in the church with my grandmother. I went almost sun up to sundown, sitting in the little church with my grandmother and my aunt. And I remember seeing different ministers, different pastors, different people getting up, speaking and preaching. And it seemed to me that sometimes those people were in competition with each other to see who could hoop the more, to see who could get the mostest amens, huh? Come on, somebody. To see who could get the people to stand up, and give praise, But were they actually doing what God wanted them to do? Or were they just competing with each other? There is a story that is in the Bible with the disciples and Jesus, and it talks about at one point in time, Jesus had just healed a young man who had spirits, had a demon in him, and Jesus had healed him. Well, the story goes on to say that the man's father actually went to the disciples first, and the disciples could not cast out this spirit. So it says that the man then goes to Jesus, who we know eventually he does, instantly casts out the spirit. Well, Jesus was telling the disciples that, I am getting ready to leave you, and I'm not going to be with you, long. And the disciples at that time, they just looked and said, as if to say, huh? What are you talking about? We're dealing with why we could not cast this demon out of this young man, and he's talking about, I'm getting ready to leave you. So they just brushed it off. They just brushed it off. So the story goes on to say that the disciples started arguing with each other. And they were saying things like, Well, who's going to be the greatest? Is it going to be you, Paul? Is it going to be you, James? Who's going to be the greatest? Who is the greatest? See, guys, Jesus does not want us to be in competition with anyone. He doesn't want you to compete. You should not have to compete. You should not have to compete with any minister. You should not have to compete with any pastor. Who has the most members? I'm going down somebody's lane today. Who has the most members? How much money did you bring in today? How much money did you bring in today? How many people that gave you praise today? How many people? So the disciples, they actually started arguing because they was not listening to what Jesus was saying. Jesus was saying, look, I'm getting ready to leave you. And if you have not learned the things, if you have not learned the things that I have already taught you, you're going to be lost. Why? Because you're still competing with each other. See, there were certain things that Jesus had already pointed out to the disciples. He was trying to tell them that, yes, it's going to be a time, guys, that when I am not going to be with you. And certain things you're going to have to learn how to do. You're going to have to recognize certain spirits and certain demons. You're going to have to recognize what people needs to hear my word. You're going to have to recognize how to deliver these people because they're going to need it because, hey, I have trained you and I'm not going to be around you long. But guess what? They were arguing because they wanted to know who was going to be the greatest. Could you believe it? How many times have we been in a situation when we missed the key point, what we was trying to do? Because see, what was going on, they were distracted because they could not cast out that spirit out of that young man. But Jesus has something more important that he was trying to get them. How many times have you faced in your life with something that God or Jesus was actually trying to point out to you and you overlooked it because you were actually distracted by someone else that you were trying to compete against? How many times? I hear the story. The story talks about the Joneses, keeping up with the Joneses. Well, Sally has bought her a new house, so guess what? I'm getting ready to go and buy a bigger house. Tom has just bought him that great big Cadillac, So now I'm getting ready to go and get that Cadillac because look, he is not going to outdo me. What I'm trying to say, guys, there is a time and a place for competition. But God does not want you to compete when it comes to your life. He does not want you to compete when you're trying to be more better than someone else. God wants you to humble yourself and keep yourself humble before him. You know, keeping up with the Joneses. Actually, guys, if you don't know, that actually came from a comic book. Yes, the Joneses. The Joneses was a family that were actually realtors. And the story says that if you can find it, if you can read up on it, it was very old. It was back in the 19th century. Okay, they were a great family, and the family was rich. I mean rich. And it says, and this is a comic story. So it says that the people, when they would walk into the house, they had picture frames. Well, the story goes on to say that they were so rich that you could not find the same picture frame. That's somebody that's rich. So every frame in the house, and there were many, every frame in the house was not like the same. And so the comic story goes on to say how other people were just trying to keep up with these people called the Joneses. Okay, people were going in debt because they were trying to keep up. Are you going in debt because you're trying to keep up with Sally and her husband? Because they just bought this house? Well, maybe Sally and her husband can afford that. But you don't want to get in debt because you're trying to keep up with them. So in the story, it continues to show how the families or different people tried to keep up. They bought, well, in that time, there were other items that they were wanting to receive. So they spent a lot of money but could not afford. How does the story end? People came in debt. They were homeless because they tried to keep up with this family that was rich. Great story. So let's bring it back to where we are now. God does not want you to be in competition with someone else. I am not in competition with you, and you should not be in competition with me. So look, let's take a look. Galatians 6 and 9 says, and let us not be weary in well doing, for in due season. You know, sometimes we go through things in our life where it says, you know, I'm doing all of this work. I'm trying to get this business together. I'm trying to get this together. You know, I'm making sure that my family is fed, and then I still don't have enough. I still can't make ends meet. I'm still struggling. You know, I'm still struggling in this business. I don't know how I'm going to get out of this situation. I don't know how I'm going to get my rent paid. We're going through that situation right now with a lot of people in this virus that we're going through, and it is not over yet. So there are a lot of people that are still struggling. There are a lot of people that still it is without employment. There are a lot of people who was once had a job that are jobless now, and who once had shelter does not have any shelter now. There are a lot of people who have lost loved ones because of the situation that we are facing right now in this universe. So Galatians 6 and 9, and it says, let us not be weary in well-doing. You know, don't be weary. Yes, it is hard. Yes, you're going to fall sometimes. Yes, it's not going to be a bed of roses. I wish it was, but it's not. We're going to cry sometimes. We're going to hurt sometimes. And guess what? You're going to be happy as well. You're going to smile as well. You're going to laugh as well. You're going to be joyful as well. So it is not all the time that you're going to experience bad times. Let us not be weary. Don't get weary because things are not adding up. There's so much things, guys, that you're going to be facing in these next months, that we all are going to be facing. But how are we going to get through it? How are we going to get to it? I remember a song person, his name was Ron Canoli. He says that if you catching hell, don't hold it, walk right through it. So guess what, guys? If you're catching hell, if you're going through some hell right now in a relationship, come on. If you're going through some hell right now on your job, if you're going through some hell right now trying to find a job, trying to make ends meet, don't hold it. Don't hold on to that thing. Just walk right past it and walk through it. Get to that other side. Get to that door, the right door. So let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap. What are we going to reap? We're going to reap what we plant. We're going to reap what we plant. How is that? I am going to reap what I plant. So if I'm planting some bad seeds, guess what? In due season, if I do not faint, if I do not go the other way, guess what? What I have planted, I am going to reap. And let me tell you guys, I want to plant some good seeds. I want you to plant some good seeds. I want you to just plant those seeds, those good seeds. Because in due season, if you stay strong, if you stay in there, if you hang in there, what does it say? It says, we shall reap if we faint not. So we want you to plant some good seeds. Well, somebody said, well, I don't have no good seeds to plant. Yes, you do. What about that neighbor that's next door that needs help carrying in their groceries? What about that person who had a flat tire, who needs help with their tire? Those are seeds. Those are good seeds. You know, you don't always have to plant money. Money is good because when you plant that, you're going to get that back. That's a different subject. That's a different story for a different time. But you can plant different things. It doesn't have to be just money. You could plant good deeds. You could give someone some clothes that you maybe are still wearing, and you know that someone else wants to wear them, and you know that someone else needs it. That is planting a good seed. Those are planting good seeds. So look, let us not be weary in this season. And I know it is weary. It is weary. It is a lot of things that's going on. Seems like it's not getting any better, but let me tell you, the sun is going to shine. Weeping may, endure for a night, but joy is going to come in the morning. For you, yes, it is. You know, so Galatians was simply saying, just hang in there. Hang in there. Don't give up and don't give in. Look, you don't have to be jealous of someone else's competition. and all of their accomplishments. I don't have to be jealous. Why would you be jealous with someone else's competition? You know, there. Some of you have put your all into certain things, and then it seems like you look up and this other person has already received what you're trying to get. Well, why is that? It could be a different reasons. It could be a number of reasons why you didn't receive it. Maybe that's not your lane for you to receive what you were trying to get out for, huh? Because some of us may be walking in the wrong gifts. That's why we have to know our gifts that we're in. Some of us may be trying to accomplish things that is over our needs, like trying to hang with the Joneses, trying to keep up with the Joneses. Those people that had that house, they were able to afford that house because they had a great business. They were able to afford those picture frames that were on their walls. But the other people that were trying, they was not at that level. They did not have all of that money to have those things. And because of that, they lost the things that they put their all in to get. So I don't have to be jealous of you because you are accomplished certain things. You should not be jealous of Tom, who has just got that promotion. Let me tell you why. You don't know what they went to or through to get to that level. We don't know what he did. We don't know the degrees that Tom had to get. We don't know the struggle that Tom had to go through in order to get that accomplishment met. We don't know the hurt and the pain that he went through. You know, I'm reminded of the story of Tyler Perry that he talks about before Tyler Perry, how he got to where he was. At one particular time, I was able to meet Tyler Perry before Tyler Perry is Tyler Perry, who he is now. And when I was able to meet him, he was just, well, he still is just an average person. He's not someone that puts himself on a pedestal. He doesn't think that he's better than no one else. You know, he's a humble person. I've always known him to be like that. I had an opportunity to meet him down at the Aronoff Center. This is when Tyler Perry was just doing plays. You know, they wasn't big plays. They wasn't humongous plays. They were just plays and, you know, ordinary. They were in churches. They were in, you know, small buildings, you know, and that's how he started out. But as we look at him now, he has progressed to the level of so much where some of us who don't know him or did not, let me say, know him before. Now, I didn't know him before, but I know the story that he told. At one point in time, Tyler Perry didn't have anything. He was homeless. He lived in his car for months and months and months and months. And so we look at him now as to say, oh, wow, he has it going on. But we do not know what he went through to get to the level, come on, that where he is now. So, guys, you don't know the level. You don't know the hurt and the struggle and the pain that other people have went through to get to where they are. Yes, it seems like everything is going good for them, but you don't know what they went through to get there. There are a lot of people that are having great success, you know, and we see it with the eye. They didn't receive that success easily. Success does not come to you easily. You have to work for it. You know, you have to stay in there. You have to hang in there. You just can't get upset because you just can't get upset because stuff is not lining up, and then you just throw in the towel and throw in the bag. And what happens is, because you done threw in the towel and threw in the bag, now you got to start all over. You have to start all over because you don't want to hang in there. You don't want to stick it out. So, you know, we don't know what it took for that person to get there. Guys, look, I am not in competition with you, and you should not be in competition with me. It says, Galatians 6:4, let everyone prove his own work. Okay? Prove his own work. So Lady A has to prove her own work. The things that God is telling me to do, the things that God is showing me to do. I have to show God that those are the things that I want to do. If I'm going to be a singer, you know, and I say I'm going to be a singer, there are some things that I should be doing. Have I proved myself? Am I writing? Am I taking any voice lessons? Am I staying up on my music? Am I practicing? You know, little things like that. And I'm just using that as an example. I have to prove myself. See, when you prove yourself, that's when God begins to open up more doors. So you have to be steward, come on, over certain things and over little things. And then once you are showing stewardship over that small thing, then God moves you to the next level. Then God begins to open up the next door. It's like some of those games. You know, my sons play these games online, and they go to different levels, and they are actually competing with someone else online. Okay, you know, well, if they don't pass that level, guess what? They get knocked back to the same level again, and they have to go over it again. Well, that's the same thing in life. You know, you don't want to be in competition. You don't have time to be in competition with someone else, because here in Galatians, it tells me that I have to prove my own work. So I can't be in competition with Tom of what Tom is doing. I can't be in competition of what Sally is doing, because I'm going to miss my own mark. I am going to miss the gift that God has for me if I waste all of my time trying to compete with someone else, because I like the things that they have. I like the way it looks. You know, it looks good to me, of the things that they have. You know, if I waste my time on trying to keep up with that person, I'm missing out on the exact things that God has for me to do, because I'm in competition. Like the disciples were arguing with each other because they were trying to see who was going to be great. And Jesus was saying, hey, you focusing on the wrong things. I'm getting ready to leave you, because you guys have not learned the things that you're supposed to learn, because I already telling you that I am not going to be here. It went right past them. It went right past them. They didn't even realize what was getting ready to happen until it happened, and it happened right before their very eyes. But Jesus was telling them, why are you arguing, trying to see who's going to be greater than the other? Why? You can't even accomplish this one little thing of casting out this spirit off of this young man. You can't even do that. That was the story. It's in the book. It's in the book. So guess what? Again, I have to say the same statement. I am not in competition with you, and you should not be in competition with me. It says, let everyone prove his own work. So I have to work on Lady A's work. My husband has to work on his work. The things that he has to do for himself. Now, we can help each other, but there's something certain that my husband have to do on his own. There are certain things that you have to accomplish on your own. There are certain actions that you have to go through on your own. I can give you some insight. I can give you a helping hand, but there's certain things that you're going to have to go through yourself. It says, let everyone prove his own work, and then shall he have rejoicing in himself. What does that mean? That simply means you know that you done put in all this hard work. You done put in all of this to your heart, not to somebody else's heart, but to your heart. You know, it looks good when you can say, yes, I accomplished that. I did that myself. I did that myself. And then it says, and then shall he have rejoicing in himself and not in someone else. What that means right there in that verse, we're at Galatians 6:4. What that means at the last part of that verse is it means that do not compare yourself with someone else. Because see, let me tell you what happens. When I start comparing myself with someone else, and I look at that person and I say, I see how the people react when they do certain things. I want that. See, when I start comparing myself, everyone does not have the same gift. My gift is not like your gift. Your gift is not like mine. You know, my calling is different from your calling. And it doesn't even have to be in the ministry. There are people that have different callings on their life. There are people that have different callings. They're doctors. They're lawyers. That's a calling. Come on. That is a calling. You have the ability to get that degree in order to operate. A surgeon is a calling. There's a calling. There's a calling to keep life. You know, that's a big calling. Everyone doesn't have that calling. You put me in a surgery room with somebody, I'm getting ready to jack up some stuff. I don't know no tools. I don't know how to hook up nothing. I do know how to hook up an EKG machine because I was once a medical assistant. But my gosh, that was a long time ago. I don't forgot even how to do that. But I do know what it is. That's a little side joke. But look, you put me in a room, in the operating room with a surgeon. I don't know nothing about that. I don't have no skills about that. You know, so I cannot compare myself to a surgeon. I'm Lady A. I'm an artist. You know, I give you the word. I know how to speak. I know how to teach. I know how to hold a note. I know how to sing. That's what I am. And so that's my lane. So I cannot compare myself to someone that's a doctor. I can't compare myself to someone that's a lawyer. You put me in a courtroom with somebody and I got all this paperwork and someone is up there standing at the judge and you tell Lady A to get up there and speak. Child, I don't know what to tell you. I just tell you don't get locked up. I don't know what to tell you because I don't have the skills in that. And I can't compare myself to a lawyer. That lawyer has already went to school for that. That lawyer has already received the correct credentials in order to be who he is or who she is. You see? So everyone is in their own lane or should be in their own lane. Should be in their own lane. Now, sometimes there are things, and I remember... oh my gosh, what is that man's name? It's somebody that we listen to all the time. Mark, I need you to help me. I know you're watching. The older man that comes on that does the motivational speaker. I see him right now on my face. I can't see him. What is his name, Mark? He comes on all the time. Les Brown. Mark didn't even help me. See how that works? See how that works? Les Brown. Les Brown tells a story all the time, and he was giving some points to certain people. A young lady had came on there, and she said that I'm trying to work this business, and I've done everything, you know, all the key points that you said. You know, she went over the whole blueprint of everything. You know, she done it to a T. She had it down, but yet her business still was not going. It was not expanding. She couldn't get the people, you know, that she needed. And the business was just at a standstill. And one thing that I remember, and Les ends up saying to her, he says, sis, you're probably not in your right lane. Oh! You're probably not in your right lane. That's deep. You're probably not in your right lane. So, we need to make sure that we are staying in what God wants us to be in. So I can't compare myself. Maybe that young lady saw someone else doing that business to the fullest, whatever it was. I don't remember what it was. But maybe that person that she was looking at and she said, oh, I want to do that. Now that all the time does not work because you see something and you see the fullness and the greatness from it. That does not mean that you can go in and do the same thing. It may not work out that way. And so what happened to this young lady, Les told her, said, hey, you may not be in the right lane. So he told her to go back and look over your vision. Look over your vision and really find out if you are in your vision. And if you're doing what you're supposed to do. So Galatians 6:4, let everyone prove himself, okay? It says prove his own work and then rejoice. Rejoice in it and not in one another. Don't compare yourself, guys. Don't compare yourself. We know that if someone, it seems like everything is going good, remember, you don't know what it took for that person to get there. And lastly, guys, I want to tell you today, you have your own gift. Yes, you have your own gift. It is a gift that you have. It is a gift that is for you. What is it? Yes, you have your own gift. You have your own gift. You know, if you continue to compete with someone, you're going to miss out on your own goal or your own accomplishments that God has had for you. Yes, because don't be like the disciples that was arguing because they were trying to see who was going to be great. First of all, you couldn't even cast out the spirit. Let's deal with that. You know, and Jesus is done forgot about that because the spirit was already cast out. And the Bible says that the Father had already done took the Son on. But here the disciples are still trying to figure out who's going to be great. Jesus is like, come on, dudes, I'm telling you, I'm getting ready to leave. Y'all can't even cast out this spirit, but you have been with me so long. Huh? So don't get sidetracked because you're trying to compete with someone else. But you can't even deal with your own accomplishment, what you are supposed to be doing. Remember that story. It is a great story. Don't be in competition with someone else and miss out on your own. Again, guys, I am not in competition with you. And you should not be in competition with me. All right, guys, that's all I have for you today. I pray and I speak that you will have a blessed week, that you will have a great week, that you will prosper. I speak that your family and everyone else that you come in contact, they will be blessed. I speak that you will live and not die. I speak in the name of Jesus that no sickness or health or sickness or disease will come to your dwelling. It will not overtake you. It will not overthrow you, but you will be delivered, healed, and set free. All right, guys, once again, this is Lady A. Ward, and I will see you next week on The Word. I will see you soon.